A leader is the ultimate person responsible for the job. And that's something that relates to business because when it does suck, I can remind myself, well, this is why I'm doing it.
Welcome to the Be Better broadcast. Are you looking to transition to your next step in your career or your business? Maybe you've thought about starting your own business or taking that next role in the company that you're working for, or doing something new entirely. And you're wondering, am I ready for this? Am I up for pushing through that fear, taking the risk, and jumping all in on this next opportunity? And if that's you, or if you know that that's going to be you in a soon to be part or chapter of your life, then this conversation is going to be for you. We've got a very special guest today. His name is Kris Brunelle. He's actually a friend of mine locally here in upstate New York. We met over a year ago for with the Aflac team. And I'm really excited to talk to Kris because we have mutual friends as well. And Kris has a very interesting story. Kris went from military to working as his own business owner and doing many things in between the military and being a business owner. And he's got a family and he's pushed through fear and took all of these risks. And we're going to talk to Kris about how he came about making the decisions that he made and pushing through that fear in order to make it happen. For those who don't know Kris Brunelle, Kris is a father, a husband, and a problem solver. He has taken his military experience and he has transformed the skills that he's learned into becoming a business owner and the kind of leader that you would want to work for. When you take away even just one thing from this conversation with Kris and myself, all that we ask is you share this show with just one other person who could use it as well. You're the reason the Be Better broadcast has grown to over 330 episodes because you are the best part of the Be Better team. Without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, we finally made it happen. Mr. Kris Brunelle. What's up, brother? Hey,
thanks for having me.
Hey, it's great to have you, dude. How are you?
Long-time listener, first-time guest.
You wanted to make this happen for a while, and I know I have too. And you know, we're both busy. We're family men. We're doing our thing, running our businesses. And we met when you were at Aflac, which is very much you being a business owner. And you told me a little bit about your military background, and you're like, I know I've got a story to tell, and I want to share it. And I'm excited to talk to you about that, man. So welcome to the show. It's good to have you.
All right, thank you.
Totally. So let me ask you, if you had to give us like a summarized breakdown, which I know is always hard to do, how did you go from being in the military to now operating and running your own business? Like, what's that story?
I think the biggest thing is when I was in the military, there was a lot of long-term projects. What I did in the military, I was a CB, I was part of the construction battalion. So essentially I was a carpenter for the military. And in that time, we had a lot of large-scale projects. So we spent a lot of time doing the same thing and thinking, like it was a lot of, routine, monotonous work. And the whole time I was just, how can I be better? What can I do to make this more efficient, more effective? And so that's kind of it right there.
Did you always know that you wanted to be in the military?
I really didn't. So I joined, I signed the paperwork in 2008 and I left in 2009. I was just out of high school, had been bombing around town for a few years, didn't really have much direction in life. And my buddy, he signed up for the Navy Seabees. He told me about it. I'm like, I can build stuff because I had done a lot of that in my time, just throughout the years. My first couple jobs were construction jobs, and I really enjoyed the work. It was physical. I had the sense of satisfaction that you get from a job well done. You can see something, fix it, and then know that it's always going to be there. So when my buddy told me about all of that, I'm like, all right, I don't have to see a ship and I can do construction and I've got a contractually obligated job for the next 5 years. Let's sign me up.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great, brother. I think that's cool. I entertained the thought of the military, but I realized in the end it wasn't for me. I had all these different ideas of what I wanted to do. And it's really weird at that age, man. Like, I feel like most people don't know what they want to do. Like, I graduated in 2012. It sounds like you were like 4 years before me. Did you graduate in 2008, you said?
I graduated in 2005. So I bombed around town for a few years.
Gotcha.
Just directionless.
Yeah. Well, that's most people. I mean, when they're seniors in high school and graduate, like I didn't even get the memo that we're supposed to be looking for colleges in our junior year, and now it's the end of my senior year, and I'm like, wait, people are getting acceptance letters from colleges? Like, why wasn't I told to apply for college? Like, was that even a thought that you entertained, the thought of going to school?
Yeah, so I did study Adirondack for a few years.
Oh, okay.
I liked it. You know, it was fine. I studied a lot of psychology then, which I'm really glad that I did because I feel like that helps me today. But there really wasn't a career path in that for me. I'm not one to sit and talk for a long time. A very busy, very active person.
Yeah.
So being a counselor, a psychologist, psychiatrist really wasn't in the cards for me. I knew that. So I really was just looking around town for something, anything. My father was a correction officer, and I could see that the toll that it took on his life doing that. And I really liked the idea of, you know, by the time I graduated high school, he had already retired. And that was a really cool idea. You know, he was in his 40s and he was retired.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm glad that it works out that way for those people because that is a rough role to be in, man. Like just from people I've talked to in their own. Some people are made for it, which is great, and there are the perks of retiring early from it, and you get all those state benefits. But it's a tough role to be in, brother. And I feel like I knew that that's something I never wanted to do. Like there, when you're at that age, it's you don't really know what you want, right? And I feel like the military is a really great option for young men and young women to go into if they don't know what it is they want because it helps you figure it out. Like, would you agree that the military is a great option for those people who did, you know, bomb around for a few years, not sure what they wanted to do? Did that help you find and create a direction?
I believe so. I think that the military is for a very specific type of person. Um, I don't regret my military experience at all. I know that it's not for everybody, so that's something that you have to consider. Just weigh your options. You have to be moldable enough to kind of go with the flow, but also rigid enough to keep who you are. So I think that for the right person, that's a very good choice. They're going to put you through a lot. There's going to be a lot of really stinky jobs that you have to do. We had a phrase, and it helped out, is embrace the suck. Right? There's
Yeah.
like it's going to suck. You can't do anything about it. Just get through your day and live your life. But on the other hand, you know, it did teach me a lot of things. I think one of the biggest things is where actually my limits were.
Mm.
Several times my limits were tested. We went on field training exercises. My first field training exercise, I was actually out in the field in a tent for 30 days, 28 days. No showers, MREs for food, and the
What's
sleep
an
schedule.
MRE?
That's the meal ready to eat. So it's a prepackaged food meal. They're about 2 to 3,000 calories each. So
Wow.
really, one MRE should be sufficient for a day.
What's in an MRE? Give me an idea of what it looks like.
So you have things like Pop Tarts, and there's candy in there. A lot of times you'll get like a tuna pouch or something. Anything that's shelf stable. They have these shelf stable bread things, which aren't terrible. Think of it's like a flatbread.
Yeah.
It's not great. And for the main course, you have different entrees. There was one breakfast one. So if you got that at 5 in the morning, you were super lucky. Otherwise, you're eating cold spaghetti in the morning,
Yeah.
and that was just terrible. um, but they have different entrees. They have something equivalent to like a McRib. Um, like it's just like the rib, and it's all freeze dried and sealed, so they're shelf stable. Not
Okay.
very good at all. You know,
Yeah.
you go on your field training exercise and you eat two or three throughout the day. You're burning a lot of calories. You're doing a lot of work, and then towards the end, you're pretty much just picking at them throughout the day just to keep yourself going.
Yeah. Damn. So that's like 6,000 calories a day, man.
Yeah, I mean, but you're burning a ton. I mean, you're digging in pits and you're doing all these different activities, which is why they have so much.
Yeah.
There's usually like a cheese spread for your bread. or something to that effect. They're all kind of similar, but different in different ways.
And you were out there for 30 days.
Yep.
No shower.
No shower.
Bathroom?
Yeah, I mean, they had porta johns.
Okay. What were you doing?
So my unit is a defensive unit, which means we don't go out and attack. We defend what we have. Back in the day, the CBs were, offensive, defensive. They were actually made in World War II because we were building all these things like roadways, runways, that kind of stuff. And the contractors couldn't defend themselves because they weren't allowed to have weapons. Well, the Navy solved that problem by sending all the contractors through basic training. Now you're a combatant. Now you can defend yourself.
Yeah.
So we were, it was a mock war that we were in for that 28 days. And so we were digging in pits, setting watch, going on patrols, setting up all of the camp operations. You get there, it's just a field. And then throughout the course, you build bunkers and you build pits and you build, this and that. Our main thing was SWA huts. It's Southwest Asia. There's a lot of 3-letter acronyms you got to learn if you're in the military. I feel like the only job of officers is to make things complicated so the chiefs can make it simple again so the crew can do it. That's really the only thing I can come up with. Hey, what else are they for?
Yeah.
So the SWAT huts, they're 32 by 32 or any multiple of that, 16 by 32. One of them I did a 32 by 124, and that was our job, is to build these. And the training was absolutely disheartening because no sooner did the last nail get nailed in, everything came down.
Wow. You just tore it down.
Just tore it down. But that was training, and that was in the training budget, and that's what we did, because when we got overseas, that's what our job was to do, is to build these up. And so a 32 by 32 building at the beginning of the deployment would take about a week to do, and then we had it down to like 2 or 3 days to get an entire building complete. And they would use the buildings for berthing. They would use it for really anything that they needed shelter for.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what did you learn about yourself in those 30 days about your limits?
So I didn't have the option to go home because I was tired. And
did you want to?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you get your first period of like, this kind of sucks. And then you get into it for a little bit and you're like, all right, we're in the routine. And then it just drags on. I mean, that was my first field training exercise. So I only had 3 uniforms. So by probably a week and a half into it, my uniforms could literally stand by themselves because of all the sweat and all the dirt. And it was just absolutely miserable, absolutely miserable. But I did it. And now that I did that, I know that I can do that if I have to.
So tell me so first, how long were you in the military?
So the typical assignment is actually 8 years, so it's typical contract, and 4 of it being active and the other 4 being inactive ready reserve, which means they could call you up at any point if they still need you.
Yeah.
For the CBs, they gave you an additional year of training. So my active component was 5, and then 3 was inactive ready.
And how long? So you were in for 8 years?
So technically 8, but I was active for 5.
I didn't realize that you were in for 8 years. Okay, gotcha.
I mean, the last 3 literally was just me being home, being a civilian again.
Sure. But yeah, you could have gotten the phone call.
Could have gotten, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So let me ask you, man, when you were in those situations in the military, because those situations, while your life isn't on the line in business, I mean, I guess it could be on the line if you're really taking a big risk. What did you say to yourself in order to get through the hard days? I guess it's different because you knew that you couldn't go home, right? It just wasn't an option for you. In business, I guess you could decide to stop and give up. But let me ask you, what did you say or do in order to move through the difficulties? Let's say you're halfway through that 30-day stint, and I'm sure you had many of those. What do you say or do in order to move through?
So that was a common almost mantra among the team. You'd get an order and it would not sound pleasant, like, oh, hey, go sit in this pit for 8 hours. But you had to embrace the suck. And that's what I was talking about earlier, is you have to do it. And since you have to do it, there's no other choice. You have to just do it. You have to find something about that is okay with you. A lot of it is purpose. And that's why I feel like a lot of military members really go strong and hard on, freedom, and they go hard on any of these concepts that you can hold in your core and say, this is why I'm doing that. And this is why I'm doing that. And that's something that relates to business, because when it does suck, I can remind myself, well, this is why I'm doing it. And the reason I'm doing business is so my daughter can see that you don't have to have a 9-to-5 job. You can, my wife is a teacher. She has a very set and, rigid schedule. And there's a lot of comfort in that, when she wakes up in the morning, she knows what she's going to do.
Yeah.
I'm a little different. That doesn't work well for me. I've tried probably a million jobs. My longest job was this 5 years. But throughout the years, I've taken little bits and little pieces of, okay, well, this was really cool. I liked it when my boss did this. And this kind of sucked. They're pulling me in for an unpaid meeting. I have to do my own time. That's not okay. So whenever anything like that happens, my guys know they're getting paid. If something doesn't logistically work out and they're sitting, you know what I mean? They're waiting. They're still getting paid. I'm not going to clock them out because of a logistical error. That's not okay. And so throughout my years, I've seen the good things, the bad things, and I'm just trying to do what makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you, how did you then transition from military into being your own boss? Because I'm guessing you came back and you didn't just immediately start a business, unless you did.
It was several years. I ran into someone who knew somebody who actually was in the same unit I was. So that's how I got a HVAC job. I was looking for something construction. And then I tried sales for a little bit. I really liked the flexibility of sales. I was doing solar sales with Solar City. And I really liked that there wasn't anybody saying, hey, you need to be here then. It was, you need to hit these goals. And whatever you need to do to hit these goals is what you need to do. And I really liked that, where, if I needed to take a day off or something, I don't know, my sink broke, you know what I mean? I could take the time, do what I needed to do, and just make up for it later. So that's what really appealed to me about owning a business. Like I said, my wife is very careful. So she's like, well, you've got your GI Bill. Why don't you go get some training? And you can't argue with that. I got paid, literally paid. They give you a housing stipend to go to school. So I took that and I found the best school that I could afford with the GI Bill in the area. So I went down to Siena College. They have a great, that's a great school. And so I traveled down to Siena for a few years, and I got my bachelor's in communications.
Good for you, brother. I didn't know you did that. That's awesome.
Yep. And throughout that process, I took a lot of marketing classes, and I really discovered my creativity through the school. I took a lot of creative arts classes, so I ended up with a creative arts minor as well. And since then, I did a couple more sales jobs in the between. And then I was working with my cousin. He owns Bullseye Party Rentals. Aflac wasn't really working out for me. So I started working with him, and all summer we're riding in the road truck, and he's like, all right, well, what are we going to do in the winter? Because he had left his full-time job to go full-time with his company, which means winters he had off. So it's like, all right, well, what are we going to do? And I was thinking that I didn't want anything that was seasonal. And so from there I went, and I just decided one day, hey, I can clean and I can lead. Let's do this. So I started a janitorial company.
Okay, cool. So you started White Glove Janitorial. That's your business.
Yeah, White Glove Janitorial Service.
Excellent. So tell me about your decision in starting this business, because how long has it been now? It's been a bit since you've had this business.
October is this is my 1 year anniversary month.
Hell yeah, dude. Congrats.
Yep, we
Freaking
made it
awesome.
through a year.
Cool. That's and
Yeah.
that's a long stint compared to other ventures that you've gone out and have done in the past.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. What did you not learn from the military or college that you had to learn in order to make it so far 1 year with this business? What skills did you not possess that you had to learn?
So I had a rough idea of accounting. I had a rough idea of how taxes work. And really, there's a big difference between leading people in a civilian world and leading people in a military world. In the military, they were there. They had no option to be there. So they really had to mess up for anything to happen, right? You could show up, kind of do your job, and you would be fine. You may not get promoted, but you would still have your job. And so that right there is a little different than here. There's always the quote unquote threat of getting fired. You know what I mean? And that's really what I think a lot of people rely on when they're running their business. If you don't do this, I'm going to fire you. And I don't really, that's not the best way. The way to motivate people is to make them want to do the job. And they want to do the job because they are part of a team. They have that camaraderie. And that's something that I did learn in the military is that camaraderie.
Yeah. So how do you create that type of environment for the people that are working with you? Because I know you mentioned you took a lot of things from where you've been in the past. Yep. I guess the question is, what is leadership to you? What does that mean?
So a leader is the ultimate person responsible for the job. If one of my guys breaks a shower head, that comes out of my pocket, right? But I don't want them to think that it comes out of their pocket because I'm responsible. My job is to motivate them, to make them want to do the job. It's not a glamorous job. I don't think many people want to grow up to be a janitor when they grow up, but I can make it a good job by being good to them, by listening to them. That goes a long way. And I do other things to show them that I appreciate them. I buy them lunch as often as I can. I offer them Aflac because I do understand that's a great program and that's a great peace of mind. I offer gym memberships to anybody who wants it.
Cool.
Because I understand that, there's a connection between your body and your mind. And if you develop your body, you work out, you're going to be more effective at your job and also in a better mental state of mind. And that's really where you need to be able to show up to work. I do it a little different. I hire more people than I need, and I only offer part-time. So that way there's a lot of flexibility. So they know that if something's going on and they can't make it to work, the shift can be covered. That's something that is off of their mind, so that they know that they need to take care of themselves first and then the company second.
Wow. That mindset is very different than the mindset you find in a lot of businesses. Take care of you first and then the business. Because if you take care of you, you're going to bring a better product to the business, right? Yep. And we are a product. We are a brand in itself. And I love that definition of leadership is the ultimate ownership and responsibility of everything. So if there's a job that's messed up, but you were never there, it's still your fault as the leader, right? Yep. And some people might say, well, why? How is that helpful? Like, I wasn't even there. How is it my fault? It's their fault. Get rid of them. Get someone else. Well, it's easiest to find a solution to something, and it's easiest to come to terms with a shortcoming if you take responsibility and ownership. Because if the buck stops with you, then you can change it from who is to blame to what is the solution to this problem? Yep. How can I solve this problem? So really, ultimate extreme ownership is something that really helps you above anything, because it allows you to not create a story of why something went wrong, and it helps you to actually find a solution to move forward from that situation.
And on the same token, everybody in my company is a leader, just like everybody in the
Wow.
military was a leader, and that gives them ownership of the job. We do things a little different. I know a lot of other companies have a list of things that they do, and they've got to be scheduled. On the third Tuesday of the month, we're going to do high dusting. I do it a little different. I say, okay, so this is what we take care of. High dusting, low dusting. All the things that need to get done. And I say, don't worry about it. We got it. We will make sure that this is done. And my guys know, okay, when they're done with the day, they look around and say, okay, well, there's some dust on the vent. I've got a couple minutes. Let's just hit that real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Where do you see White Glove being in 5 years? If you could have the ideal outcome for your business with everything that you've learned and everything that you're going to continue to learn, where would you say you want to be in the next 5 years with this business? What does your lifestyle look like? What's the business look like?
So, and this is probably a different answer than you're normally going to get, is I want to employ as many people as I comfortably can, as many as I can manage. I want to give as many good jobs as I can. I think that's something that we need in the area. We've got some recent shutdowns. There's a lot of people looking for work, and I want to help as many of my employees as I can. The side product of that is, we're going to have a bunch of accounts, and we're going to help a lot of businesses do what they do, right? Because you've never seen a lawyer cleaning his own toilets, because he doesn't have time for that, because he needs to do his job. And our job is to take care of that. When I first started this, I thought I was a cleaning company, but really it's a headache company. We're getting rid of headaches.
Wow.
And when I was in school, I thought marketing was going to be that for me. So I studied heavily on marketing. It turns out I'm not much of a social media guy. I'm not on Instagram or Facebook or all that like 18 times a day. I just don't have the ambition to do that. And that's okay. That's a different headache that's solved by different people. There's
Yes.
always going to be dirt, and it's vital that these companies get cleaned. I don't call my crew janitors. They're grime fighters.
Grime fighters.
Grime fighters.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah. And that makes me head of grime control, which is way better than saying CEO.
Grime control. Well, what you're doing there, though, is you are instilling, again, what you mentioned earlier, a sense of purpose into the work that people do. Like if you're a janitor, okay, you clean things. But if you're a grime fighter, you're eliminating the grime. You're removing these headaches, as you say, but you're providing really peace of mind to the lawyer or to the other commercial residents. And because that's mainly who you help is commercial, like you're providing peace of mind to people. And if people walk into a clean environment, then they are going to perform at a better rate. If it smells good, it sells good. That's what we say in sales, right? It's the same thing in any profession. And if these people are walking into a clean place of work, then their performance is going to be higher. The service that they provide to other people is going to be better. So really, you are an integral part of the community by going in here and cleaning these places. So you're not just a janitor, you're transforming the community and providing peace of mind to the community. And that's a purpose that your people can go into work saying, wow, I'm actually making a giant positive difference in the community with the work that I'm doing. That sense of purpose is so freaking important.
Yep.
I love that, man. That's really good stuff. It's really cool how you've taken everything that you've learned, brought it up until this point, and you're continuing to evolve. And I like how you said, well, it might not be the answer that you normally get or expected, but I want to create as many jobs as possible in the area. And really, if you think about what is a business owner's role, it's to solve a problem, which you're doing, removing headaches and employing the most people possible, which is great. And some business owners out there, you might be a solopreneur and you have an internet business or a digital marketing business or something. And that's great because that's the lifestyle that you want to build. But it sounds like you really want to be the kingpin in really elevating your community above all and providing a lot of jobs to a lot of people.
That's definitely something I want to do, but I don't know if I would say that I would want to be the kingpin. It's just I want to help. it's something I can do. We did a lot of cleaning, and that's why I named it White Glove, was for the white glove inspections, that we would go through in our rooms. And the whole purpose of the white glove inspection, going back to give the officers something to do, but also it's very important for readiness. Even if we go down onto a micro level, if your office is clean, if your bathroom is clean, imagine if you were in the middle of some deadline that you had to get to and there was no toilet paper, right? Not a huge deal, but it's something else that's on your plate that's distracting you from your work.
That's a big deal. That's a huge deal, man.
Yeah.
That's rough. I've been in that situation.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about it, but that's rough. That's great. So who do you serve with White Glove Janitorial, like the area that you serve? Because people are listening from all over and they might not be, necessarily able to get your services. So who do you serve for those listening?
So we are in Glens Falls, and we are blessed to be right near the Northway, which means we can get up to Chestertown. We can get down to Saratoga, New York. And that's our bread and butter. We'll go farther for limited jobs. So we do post-construction clean. So sometimes we'll go down to Albany for that, for a day or two, get that done real quick. And then, our core business is really centrally located out of Glens Falls. And then, we kind of expand from there.
That's awesome. Very cool. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
We've got the website, 518wgjs.com. That's probably the best way. You can get an idea of what services we offer there, if we might be a good fit.
Excellent. 518wgjs.com. That stands for White Glove Janitorial Service. And what you're getting is you're not just getting a clean space and peace of mind, but you're getting a great team of people who are going to back you up and make sure that happens. So I love your story, brother. I'm really glad that we got you on the show. I'm going to put links in the description, guys, for you to go check out Kris's website. If you're a business owner, just to get some inspiration from someone who did come from a very different life and use those skills in order to pave a path forward to create the freedom that he still wants to live. So links are in the description. And Kris, this has been a great time, brother. It's been great talking with you. I'm glad we got you on, and I'm looking forward to see where you go with the business, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
Whether you also come from the military, whether you have this next transition in life that you're looking to make, whether you're not sure how to push through that fear, this conversation with Kris really painted a picture of how you can do that, right? You've learned skills from all your past vocations, whether it was military or not. You have this big, ambitious goal that you want to achieve, and there's going to be fear. There's going to be anxiety when it comes to doing that. And the big question is, how will you move through that fear and anxiety to create the life that you want? And a big part of it, like what Kris said, comes down to the purpose behind it. His purpose was freedom in the military. And now his purpose is, I want to create as many jobs as possible for this community, and I want to create a better life for this community and the people in it, and I take responsibility for making that happen. And you can sense the conviction when he talks about that. And really, in any business, that's what it comes down to. The conviction to help, the conviction to serve. And that's how you create a better life, and that's how you run a successful business. I hope that you took something away from this conversation. Links are in the description to check out White Glove Janitorial Services. We didn't mention it, but Kris is offering 35% off your first month if you are a commercial business that's looking to have cleaning services done for you to remove your headaches. And I hope that you reach out to him to make that happen. If you did take away one thing from this conversation, please share this show with just one other person who could use it as well. You're the main reason that our show has grown. It's only grown through word of mouth. We don't run ads. We don't have sponsors, because you are the best part of the Be Better team. Thank you so much for watching and listening. And until we talk again next time, continue to be better.